Well, Jason Gilchrist is an ecologist. He's a lecturer at Edinburgh's Napier University. Thank you for being part of our coverage tonight. Now, these are extraordinary scenes here. The elephants are encroaching on areas occupied by human beings, and the human beings are fighting back. What's the solution?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the conflict is being caused by competition for space and resources. People and wildlife needing access to the same areas. And so it's trying to address those problems. So one, it's about protecting the human resources from elephants and other animals that want to access it. But also, ultimately, we need to provide sufficient space for wildlife to be able to coexist with humans.
Now, I mean, the Masai Mara, for instance, where some of these pictures are coming from, is a huge area of planet Earth. There isn't enough space to go round. Why so?
Yeah, I think part of the problem locally there now is that there's increased private agricultural use of land. So it's moving away from the traditional pastoralism that was the land use. So more areas are becoming fenced and there's more intensive agricultural production, which means that there are crops which are attractive to elephants. So the change in land use management and increasing human populations, which is occurring all over the world, not just in Kenya, are contributing to escalating human-wildlife conflict.
There's an interface here between governments and, if you like, the regular human beings who occupy the cities in Kenya, and I suppose the more native tribes who occupy some of these lands. Now, are relationships between those two sets of human beings breaking down too?
So I think a really key point which you've touched on there is about cooperation and communication. And ultimately, for human-wildlife coexistence in Kenya and beyond, we need that interaction and that support between national governments, local governments, NGOs, and also, crucially, local communities. So one of the ways to get there is by having effective compensation schemes so that local people see the value in wildlife rather than simply seeing wildlife as a cost that causes damage to their livelihoods.
And do those compensation schemes either don't exist or they don't work at the moment?
Yeah, so it depends where you're looking. In some places they don't exist, in other places they exist but they're not effective. And I think that's arguably the simplest and most key way of trying to reduce the sort of distressing footage that we're seeing. And we have to acknowledge this from two sides. One is it's really important that we don't lose iconic biodiversity like elephants, hippos, lions, leopards, other large animals. But also, ultimately, this is caused by people being put into very difficult positions, both financially, but also in terms of social welfare. So it's really important to support people, not just simply to prioritize wildlife.
Jason Gilchrist, thank you for being with us.